Leeward Haleakalā Watershed Restoration Partnership was formalized in 2003. It's a voluntary alliance of 11 public and private landowners that have agreed to protect and restore their lands across landowner boundaries. The partnership ranges from Haleakalā Ranch on the west all the way around the southwest rift to Kapoi Ranch on the furthest east extent and encompasses 43,000 acres. The projects are prioritized at 3,500 feet elevation and above. That's where the natural cloud line sits, and that's the natural source of most of the precipitation that fed this slope. It's important that these landowners were able to agree to protect these areas as one contiguous unit, because a lot of the threats and challenges don't obey TMK lines and landowner boundaries. Being able to work across those and partner with those individual landowners, and also to access private lands that normally wouldn't be able to have protection and conservation efforts like state natural area reserves or forest reserves are able to.
On the south slope of Haleakalā, we see some of the worst erosion on Maui and possibly in Hawaii, and covers our reefs, our near-shore resources. The invasive species really become one of the greatest challenges, trying to locate them, so trying to manage and control what's there and trying to eliminate further spread of them and trying to push them back. And at some point we draw a line and say, well, we've done what we can do.
Fencing is important for the restoration work. It's the first step usually, because the animals are the most dramatic threat. They have the most profound impact on the forest. They trample the understory, they directly eat the plants, and they also destroy the substrates, that it makes it easier for weeds to come in and makes it easier for puddles to form and things like mosquitoes that live in still water to spread avian malaria to our native forest birds. So removing the ungulates from an area just releases that pressure on the animals and allows the mature trees that are able to produce seeds to have those seeds reach the earth and germinate and survive before they're eaten. There are a lot of challenges. For me, as a program manager, making sure I find funding. There's not enough to go around to do this scale of work. Other challenges, of course, there's no textbook for restoration in Hawaii in these specific sites. We have so many different project sites, and each one is really different. And it takes a lot of time to go and figure out what the threats are, what are the assets that are still here, what do we have to work with, where are we going to get the seeds, where am I going to get the funding for the plants.
Since 2003, we at Native Nursery have been growing plants for Leeward Haleakalā Watershed Partnership in a pretty careful way, because what we have to do is keep track of all the different ecoregions for these different species and ensure that the plants that are going out are weed-free, pest-free, and healthy, because they need to go out into areas that are very sensitive.
When we go out to plant, for the most part, we don't have irrigation systems to our plants. We hope that once we plant them, we're doing it at the right time of the year and in the right conditions, and that there'll be enough water and moisture for them to carry on the rest of their life, and that eventually we will have began the restoration of the native forests. Water is essential to our survival on this island, and our native forests are the best machines, biological machines, to create this water for us. It's something that we cannot recreate by bringing in species from other places. So the other benefit is to preserve the culture and the cultural importance of the forest. The native people of Kanaka Maoli put plants and animals before everything else, and they believe that we came from these things and that they are the source of us, and that without them, we cannot exist. To protect that, we need to protect the forest and everything that lives in it. Many of these things have no other home. They're endemic to these islands, and you can't find them anywhere else. Another reason to protect this forest is for its uniqueness as a biodiverse hotspot in the world. And we owe it to the world to protect this place.
There's this diagram that my kumu showed me, and it's a picture of the mountains to the sea, kind of like an ahupua'a. And it starts off at the top, and there's one word, and it says vai, which means water. And then it goes down into the more in the plains, the cooler region. And then there's another word that the arrow goes down to, and it's ai, which is food. And then lastly, there's a arrow that goes down from ai, which is kai. That's the ocean. So it's a reciprocal relationship from mountain to the sea. And each three of the components is very important for us as a people. We need to eat, we need the ocean, and we definitely need water. So restoration plays a really important role in that.
It's inspiring work, but often it's not something that you can show people, and a lot of people can't see it from the roadside. But when you get up there with them and you see the impact that's being made, I guess also the damage that was done previously by all these invasive species, we all, as conscious humans on this island, have a responsibility to do something and take care of those lands.
It's important to engage as many people as possible in restoring the forest and being connected to it so that we have a better chance of sustaining the work that we've achieved so far. I'd also like to see more habitat for native species across the slope and more diversity of species across the slope over time, not just in little pockets, little protected areas, but across a more contiguous area. One of the things I'm grateful for in Hawaii and on Maui especially is the spirit of cooperation between groups. It's really important that we share information because a lot of these things we're learning as we go, and being able to work with other groups on other islands and even in the same landscape and help each other develop techniques and learn from different things that we've tried is really helpful and makes our work more efficient, more effective. I'd also like to see long-term dedicated funding secured for watershed protection and native species and cultural resource protection. And it should be something that's widely invested in and valued in our society and our communities.
I'd like to see hundreds of people at work every day on this land instead of a handful of people. I want to see dedicated funding that supports restoration and protection of not only these lands, but lands throughout Hawaii, places where native species still exist, where nature still occurs. In my mind, that'll be successful because the true restoration of this place will take thousands of years. It's not just planting native plants. A forest is made up of birds and insects, things that we can't just insert. And that's what, to me, is restoration.